broadcasting. Yards, touchdowns. Shut your mouth, broadcasting. First round draft pick. Believe we got stats, kid. Quarterback stacking. 100-yard dashing. So tap in for the action. What teams got traction?
Welcome to the Sim Podcast Show. I'm your co-host, Sirik, and I'm always joined by my co-host, Ron. What up, Ron?
What's going on?
You know what we do? We talk about the National Football League on a weekly basis, including the playoffs. We just had week number 6 going into week number 7. Ron, how do you feel about this week?
We're back. We're off last week. The Steelers were, so I feel pretty confident. We got a good matchup this week. Rams got a lot of players out, so I'm excited to be able to sit in front of the couch again and watch football this weekend.
Yeah, I wish we had the week off, but we did not. We did not have the week off. And we'll talk about week number 6. We'll go into our NFL news. We'll talk about our upset specials. And then we'll talk about our top 5 power ranking. So let's quickly go over NFL news. Ron, I just saw that Richardson is out for the year. Done. I'm not a big Richardson fan, but I know you were. So is this, I know a lot of news are comparing it to the Andrew Luck. What is this an Andrew Luck type of season or what?
Oh, no. He, I don't think the injury is anything that's, serious. I think they're just playing it cautious with him. He's going to have the surgery and he'll be back, in time for camp next year. So there's no sense in putting him out there risking further injury. The team's not playing for anything at this point. I think they're looking at long, big picture with him. So, which is the right thing to do. They just shut him down. So that's I think the appropriate thing for them to do this year.
Now they're in second place in the division. I think the division might be winnable though. I know that I think they lost to the Jaguars, right? Not too long ago. But they're 3-2. The Jaguars they're Colts are 3-3. The Jaguars are 4-2. Whose division? The Jaguars to lose, basically?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know if they view Minshew as that big of a drop-off, if any, than where Richardson is at this stage of his career. So, again, I think with Minshew playing, I think they view it as everything's going to be okay, and we'll keep going like we're doing, like everything is right now.
I feel like the Minshew, maybe he should be a starter somewhere else.
That's been the case for like 4 or 5 years, though. He's just never, I don't want to say he hasn't had any opportunity, but, he was always on the fringe of like the top of the backup quarterbacks to potential starter. And this was probably his best chance, I think, to be a starter. They drafted Richardson, obviously, with the plan for him to be the future. But, if Gardner would have came in there and showed that he's an NFL quality starter, then that could have taken him somewhere else next year. Same situation, actually, now that I think about it, like the Steelers, when they drafted Kenny Pickett, right? We had Trubisky. And if you think about where Trubisky was at, it was a good opportunity for him to say, you know what, I'm still a starter in this league, right? If I have a good season, I can use that to jump off my career somewhere else. I think Minshew's in a good spot. He just has to go out and produce now, though.
The other piece of news is Kyle Murray is back in practice. So are they going to start him or what's going to happen?
I don't know. I don't know if they even want him back in practice, right? Like, there's so much turmoil going on with the Cardinals. Like, the beef, animosity between Murray and that whole organization. It's just an awkward situation. The Cardinals, I think they've won 1 game so far, but it's not because Dobbs is playing poorly. It's just that they have a bad team, and the plan for them, I think, is to tank, right, and try to get that first pick next year. So, I don't know. I think it's just going to be a weird situation. I don't know how it's going to play out, to be honest with you, with him being back at practice. It's just going to be a weird situation.
But do you think, because it seems like the players are playing hard for the coach, but it seems like the organization is like, basically, do you think they should be trading him? Like, is he
No one
trade
wants
bait?
him. No one wants him. Not at that contract he signed. That's the problem. He signed that contract. If you believe the rumors and all the news that came out, he's not a hard worker. He doesn't study film.
Plays video games.
And he's playing video games instead of studying. And like when you come in the league as a quarterback and you're 5'10" or lower, he's probably like 5'8" realistically, right? You cannot afford not to study and do all the extra stuff to stay on the field. So listen, he got to try to figure out how best to salvage his career. It feels like to me he's burned bridges there. So we'll see what happens. I just think it's a messy situation.
I think that you're right. They definitely overpaid for him, almost like a Daniel Jones, because I think he played horrible, right? Wasn't he one of the players that deleted everything affiliated with Arizona Cardinals from his social pages?
Yeah, all these players do that now, though.
Yeah, I think that's like a bargaining chip somehow. I don't know why. I guess because the fans see that and they panic, right? And this part of news I kind of lumped together. So I saw that Mahomes wants to own part of the team when he retires, and then I also saw that Caleb Williams wants part ownership of whoever drafts him. So is this what are players thinking?
Delusions. Well, Grant, I don't know. I think they're trying to follow the Brady path, if you will. Because Brady has talked about owning a team in the past, and I think for him, I mean, he's the GOAT, right? And it's still going to be difficult for him to become a team owner, even like a part ownership. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. So I think they look at him and say, okay, that's what I want my future to look like, and I think they're just delusional.
They're very delusional because Mahomes, Tom Brady played for 20 plus years, right? Mm-hmm. I don't see Mahomes doing that. And I definitely don't see Caleb Williams being part owner while he's playing the same team.
Yeah.
I know that they want to maximize the money and wherever they are, but this is like a rich man's club, and it's not like they just let you in the door.
Right. Like, so,
yeah.
Let's say we're middle class, and I don't like to put labels. Let's say we're middle class. They're rich.
Ultra rich.
Then there's the billionaires you're talking about, and they're not even remotely close to being on that level.
Yeah,
even Brady isn't either.
Yeah,
so
I mean, and Brady's trying. I mean, he's part, minority owner with the Raiders, minority owners with like the Birmingham City up in English Premier League, a lower league, but still part owner. I think he's trying to branch out, but like you mentioned, all these players, they look up at the GOAT and they're like, oh, if he can do it, I can do it too.
Right.
No, you can't.
No,
you can't. Speaking of money, I know you mentioned this. College NIL.
Yeah.
This is something that I thought initially was a good idea, but now
there's no rules. That's the problem.
Like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, it is. Right. So you got Shooter Sanders' report came out today that his NIL deal is valued at $4.8 million, which is a higher salary than tons of quarterbacks in the NFL, like including Mac Jones, for example, including Jameis Winston, Baker Mayfield, who's a starter in the league as well, Kenny Pickett, Minshew, who we just talked about. So he's making more in this NIL deal than NFL starter. I think that adds to the delusions that these college kids have, is because they're getting a ridiculous amounts of money. I remember last year too, Jordan Addison, the receiver from he played at USC, he's with Minnesota now. He had a ridiculous deal too to go to USC and play there. It's like, why would you stay anywhere when you can bounce? These boosters are paying you literally millions to go to another school and play there. So,
well, that's and I don't watch college football, so I can't say, well, this is what happens. But every time that I turn on a college football game, they always talk about the transfer portal. Yeah. Transfer portal. Oh,
that's
he's
where
going to
live. You live. I mean, it's probably a good 40%, 50% of your roster is going to be made through the portal, like who you can recruit from the portal to leave the school that they're at to come play at your school.
Yeah, so basically, I don't know how this works, but I guess you put your name on the transfer portal, and then through the NIL, these colleges can offer you ridiculous amount of money. Like, come play with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. They need to fix it. I mean, ultimately, what I want is everyone getting paid. But now the best players are getting paid, and they just go into the highest bidder.
Yeah.
They either go into the highest bidder, or they go into a school that it's on TV for every game.
And I don't know if just because you're the best player or one of the top players that you should be paid any more than someone who's an average player but playing the same position, or someone a female playing soccer, or volleyball or something else. Like, should Shooter Sanders get like 4 million and some volleyball player get like trash, nothing? I just think that, and I get like football makes millions of dollars for their school and stuff like that.
Billions of dollars.
Yeah, I understand football is a big business, right? We talked about Colorado before this, how much money Deion Sanders' contract is and how much money the school's making now because of him being there. But I think the wealth needs to be spread, to all NCAA players, not just like the top athletes.
Yeah, this is getting ridiculous, and this is on some other. They need to fix it. Basically, I don't think they're gonna get rid of it because now everyone is living it up. But I think that they need to fix it. All right, so let's quickly recap week number 6, and really, there's only one game that we had, and that was New England at Las Vegas. I had them as 14-10. You had them Vegas winning 20-13. Final score was 21-17. I personally did not. Usually when I come up from work, I'll watch the game, on repeat, but I did not want to watch it. I basically watched the highlights or the lowlights. Run. The score was 17-19. All Patriots needed to do was kick a field goal to win the game. Nope. Mac Jones had other ideas. Now, I don't want to blame it all on Mac Jones, but I mean, what are you gonna say? What can you say about this team? Find different ways to lose. So what happened? If you can't beat the Vegas Raiders, why even play? Why even play?
Listen, you were so confident, right, with your selection when you said the Pats were going to win. And I was like, I don't know. Pats have looked terrible. That's why I picked Vegas to win. I don't know what to say. You're right. You just said it. Like, they find ways to lose, and they are arguably one of the 3 worst teams in the NFL, right? So throwing Carolina, who doesn't have a win yet, and Denver maybe. They are competing for like that number 1 pick at this point. And I don't know if you can look at their schedules, the Patriots, and see there's no automatic victories with any teams left on this schedule. So, I don't know what else to say, but
I mean, when you look at it, you're like, okay, we outscored them 14-9 in the second half, and we still lost a game. Why? Because they're doing the same thing week after week. They get behind, they try to play catch up, they don't have the personnel to play catch up, and then they lose. And that's why, I know we're going to move into week 7, but that's why I just can't see this team tanking on the Bill Belichick. Now, the injury report came out. I never seen so many players in that report. They had like 20 players. Some of them didn't even participate in practice. I mean,
that's the definition of tanking to me.
I don't want to call it tanking. I just want to call it, this is a terrible, terrible team. Even if you put the best players out there, can't beat another football team. So it doesn't, you can call it tanking, but it's not tanking. It's just that this is a terrible team.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that the Carolina has no win. But they technically already have a QB.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know what else you can say about this team. And like you mentioned earlier, there are no easy victories going forward. Maybe the Giants, but I mean, like I told my friend Chris, that is going to be like the poo-poo platter game.
Yeah.
I mean, if I can see both teams having one win with that when that game happened. And then they play the Chargers, the Steelers, the Chiefs, so the schedule gets harder, and maybe Aaron might be back by the time the Jets play that game. So
if the Jets have something to play for, which their defense is good.
They're 3-3, so who knows? What was your upset special for Week 6, Ron?
So Week 6, I had Baltimore. They were favored by 4 over Tennessee. I had Tennessee winning 24-23. I missed that. Baltimore won 24-16. I'm kicking myself because I remember saying on the podcast last week that watch out for San Francisco, losing because, they're playing a tough defensive team in the Browns that's capable of punching them in the mouth. Now, San Francisco lost all their players. At the end of the day, that wasn't my upset special. I should have stuck with it, though. That was, what my gut was telling me. Instead, I went with Tennessee, and that was a dumb move because Baltimore handled it pretty easily.
Well, you should follow your gut more often because San Francisco did not have it against the Browns. For my upset special, I went Arizona at LA. I thought that Arizona was going to put up a fight. The final score was 9-26 LA Rams. Are the LA Rams a good team?
They're an okay team. They have some decent players. They have Stafford, who's a veteran quarterback. Aaron Donald, obviously. They had found a gem in Kyren Williams. He was the running back. I don't know if I had talked to you about this, but he was the one I wanted the Steelers to draft last year. They ended up getting, someone off, as a free agent, right? So it turned out well for us. But Kyren Williams is a good running back. Now he's hurt this week, so he's out for a few weeks.
They also got Puka.
Puka came out of nowhere.
Which is like another Cub.
Yeah. So they got some good play. I wouldn't say they're a great team. But they're a dangerous team that if you mess around, they'll beat you.
I mean, they're 3-3 in the division, third place. I know Seattle has 3 wins as well, but they have less losses. So no, maybe. I mean, the NFC is a very competitive conference. So we'll see. Yeah, and that was our upset special for last week, and we were not good at selecting it. So let's go to week number 7. It's gonna be Buffalo at New England. Buffalo is favored. They are given 8.5 points. Ron, what'd you pick?
I have I wrote my score wrong. I'm staring at it now, so it should be the other way around. I got the Bills winning 28-13. So I'm changing that now. So Bills winning comfortably 28-13.
I have them Bills losing.
How? You just talked about how terrible the Pats are. How?
Have they won at home? No, they haven't won at home.
You just finished telling me how bad they are, and then you don't believe they're tanking, but they're terrible.
But like I told you last week, this team is like the little engine that could in the
they could against Las Vegas, right?
Listen, Buffalo is not the same team as 2 years ago.
Yeah, but they're still better than Las Vegas.
They're much better. Listen,
and they're still better than the Patriots.
You can tell me a litany of things that Buffalo does better than New England, and they're all true. But I feel like in order to have any kind of, because right now they haven't told Bill, hey Bill, this is your last year. as long as, as far as he knows, he's coaching into next year. So I feel like maybe the players are like, I doing? I don't know, but I have them winning.
How? I don't understand. Like, how do you envision a game? Like, what sort of game? What will need to happen for the Patriots to beat Buffalo? Because I got 28-13 Buffalo winning. But honestly, this could get out of hand, right?
I mean, the over and under is 41 points. And I don't even see New England getting to like maybe even 21 points, I guess. I honestly feel like if Josh Allen, and I don't want to wish anybody an injury, but if Allen is under the blue tent, we have a chance. We have a chance.
So that's how. That's That's what you're hoping for.
Either he's injured or does he have anybody pregnant? No. Either he's having a baby, he has to just leave. I'm just like bringing that kind of energy,
positive energy, I guess.
Listen, you're at home, just do something.
There's no way in hell.
Yeah, just do something.
Pats are going to win this game.
I'm not 100% confident, but just do something. Okay, Pittsburgh at the Rams. The Rams are favored by 3 points. What do you have?
So, and I do think the Rams should be favored in this game, but I think this is going to be another home game for Pittsburgh, even though we travel out to LA. There's going to be a lot of Pittsburgh fans there. I got Pittsburgh winning 17-13. I think the bye week, not much has changed. It's going to change, but the one thing that is changing is we're getting healthy. So Deontay most likely is going to play. Anthony McFarland has a good chance of playing. Pat Fryermuth has a good chance of playing. So that's 3 players already in our offense. Our tackle's coming back as well. So like our team is getting healthy, and the Rams, unfortunately for them, their team just got hurt. A lot of players hurt. So if we can stop their passing, which is a big if because we've given up a lot of big plays in the passing game, Pittsburgh should win, and that's what I'm predicting, 17-13 Pittsburgh winning.
So you don't see Pittsburgh reaching the 20-point mark?
They have it all season offensively. I don't see why they would start now.
I have them winning 21-17, and I don't know how you're going to limit the Rams to 17 points because they have a good offense. They have McVay there still. The defense is questionable, but I have them winning 21-17 over the Rams.
Yeah, Rams offense is not that good, right? So just looking at these losses, they only scored 16 against the Bengals, only scored 14 against the Eagles. They had a couple games. They scored 23 against 49ers. I guess that's pretty good. But, the Steelers defense, again, if we can stop the pass game and then limit their running game. I don't even know who the running back is for the Rams this week with Kyren being out. I think it's going to be difficult for them to get anything going.
I just feel like they have a pretty good passing attack. I don't know about the rushing, but the passing is decent, much better than probably like the league average. So, but still have the Pittsburgh winning this game. Okay, let's go into our upset specials. Ron, what do you have?
Yeah, this one was tough. I didn't like any of the games this week. At least not the games that were 3.5 point spread or greater. So I went with the Vikings again. They let me down a lot already, but San Fran's favored. They're traveling to Minnesota. It's still a tough place to play. They're favored by 7. San Fran still has some injuries. We'll see if McCaffrey plays, Debo plays. I don't know how many other players they got out, but Minnesota can, at home should put up a better fight, I would think. That's my upset. I got Minnesota winning 24-23.
So are you on the Brock Purdy bandwagon, or did you get off?
I don't know if I was ever fully on it.
Wait a minute. You told me after they beat the Steelers that he's legit.
No, he's good. I'm not saying he's good. There's no doubt about that. None whatsoever. Now, am I putting him in the Hall of Fame like some people? No, I'm not doing that.
Some people are even targeting MVP.
Exactly. I mean, let's not go crazy, right? You put most quarterbacks in that system, they're going to look like how Brock Purdy has looked. So, he's a good quarterback, and he's played well. I think this was probably the last game was his worst game. But, again, when you're throwing to like some backup, you don't have your best players out there. That's what's going to happen, right? So, we'll see. Let's see if Minnesota is tanking, or if they're going to go out there and put an effort out there.
Yeah, I was looking at that game as well, but then I thought maybe the Niners come out of this pissed off and they just like wreak havoc on Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So I kind of stood away. My upset special is the Chargers at Kansas City. Kansas City is favored by 5.5. I have them winning 24-17. Now, I did some research. I watched the entire game of that Chargers-Cowboys game. And I thought Kellen Moore at least was going to have Justin Herbert slinging the ball everywhere. But there was a lot of passes that Justin missed.
Yeah, he missed a lot. He didn't play well either.
He didn't play well, and I know he has like a pinky, like a finger issue going on, but I was like, dude, you got good receivers. You got a good tight end. You got a good running back. Why are you struggling scoring? You should be scoring at will. Mm-hmm. You should be leading the league. I mean, not Miami type scoring, but you should be up there.
Yeah.
And since the Chiefs don't really have a dominant defense like they did last year, the offense is still decent. The defense is not as dominant. I think, at least I feel like it's not. So I think that maybe the Chargers can get a victory. I know it's on the road, so it's going to be hard, but I got them winning 24-17.
Any Taylor Swift showing up at this game, you think?
Of course. This is without question. Without question, I know Taylor Swift maybe has her own thing, her own touring, but how many times? It's like, how many times? We know she's getting along with the mom. We know she's dating, an NFL player. Like, we already know this. Why do you keep showing it? Mm-hmm. Ron, who are your top 5 in the power ranking?
Yeah, so my top 5 this week, I got Miami number 1 finally. So they had them at number 4 last week. I got Detroit moving up to number 2. They were number 3 last year. San Fran falling to number 3. They were my number 1 before. Philly falling to number 4. They were my number 2. And then Kansas City still holding down the 5th spot. So I didn't move Kansas City up despite like losses from Philly and San Francisco. I didn't move them up because I think you're right. There's just something missing with Kansas City. I can't put my finger on it. Defense isn't as good. Mahomes is like always like up and down, I feel sometimes. So I didn't quite. Now, at the end of the year, they'll probably be in the conversation for top 3. But right now, I have Kansas City 5th.
You know what I've noticed that Mahomes doing this year? What is this thing about? Like, he's just, every time he misses a play, or it's like he's telling everyone, like, come back to the huddle. I don't know. I'm like, just like, what is that?
Yeah.
What are you trying to say? He's like doing this thing. I'm like, what are you doing right now?
I think he's just saying, shit, I fucked up. I made a mistake. I missed you, basically. Let's regroup.
I know he's a dad, and he probably is like not really getting sleep, but this whole thing, if I was one of his receivers, I'd like, put your hands down. Put your hand down. we know we got to huddle. My top 5, I got Detroit at number 1. I finally, after 6 weeks, I'm giving due respect to Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. I feel like they played good enough where they have the number 1 billing. Then I have San Francisco, Philadelphia, Miami. Miami could be higher. To me, I know offense sells tickets.
Put a 42, I think it was, against Carolina.
Defense wins championship. And I feel like until I see that Vic Fangio defense really doing something, I know they're getting Ramsey in a couple weeks back, but I have them at 4, and then I have KC 5th, so not much change with the Chiefs.
So you're going back to Detroit. You started off week 1 not having them in your top 5. I've had Detroit in my top 5 the entire time. And I don't have them at number one just yet, but it's like every week they go out and play. And the more I watch them, especially now that Jameson Williams, their best receiver, probably. Now, that's no disrespect to Armand St. Brown, but what Jameson can do now is out there. The running backs they got, and I know their main running back just got hurt, but that team is not just a team that can make the playoffs. A team can win in the playoffs. And if I'm Philly or San Francisco, that's not a cupcake team that you're going to go against. That's a team that you got to bring your A game to beat.
No, I mean they have a good test this week. If they can beat the Ravens and go 6-1, I mean, I don't know what the rest of the schedule looks like. Let me just look it up real quick for the Detroit. So they got the Ravens, then they got the Raiders, the Chargers, the Bears. I mean, until you get to the Cowboys, this is a cakewalk schedule.
Yeah, it's pretty favorable.
It's very favorable.
Mm-hmm.
Very favorable. So, I mean, they can lock the number one if they don't lose again for the rest of the season.
The thing is with Detroit, you think they're good now. Wait till 2 years from now. All these guys are rookies or second-year players. Wait till they're in their second and third year, assuming Goff is still good. They're going to be a dangerous team for a few years.
I mean, I don't know if Ben Johnson is going to stay there 2 years from now. I think someone's going to snatch him. If Detroit keeps winning the way it is, and he keeps doing this craziness on offense, not Mike McDaniel type craziness where everyone's in motion every play, but I feel like some other team is going to, or some other owner is going to notice and be like, I can give you so much money if you come be the head coach here. So I can definitely see that, but they're young. I'm surprised they're not using Gibbs as much, but again,
they haven't had to, but until now,
but I do see them finally doing the number one and having San Francisco move over. So what do you have for the audience for the rest of the show for week 7?
For the audience, man, listen, I missed a lot of football last week. I took Sunday off from football. Steelers weren't playing, so I went to Keel's farm, got to hang out with family. Weather was great. I think it was in the 70s or something like that.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful. But now this week I'm back sitting on the couch watching football. I'm back, right? So I think for everyone, just enjoy the weekend. If your team's playing well, then great. If your team's out of it, like some of our teams, then still sit back and enjoy the game if you can. If you don't enjoy the game, hopefully you can enjoy the weather wherever you're at. Hopefully the weather is cooperating with you. You can go out and enjoy that. So that's all I got. I know I'll be glued to the Steelers game. I expect them to win. If they disappoint me, I'll be here talking about firing Tomlin again.
I think I saw somebody tweeted out the last 8 years Tomlin has not won basically when they made the playoffs.
Yeah, no playoff wins. Yeah, great that you're winning you have a winning record, but you get to the playoffs and you lay an egg. That's not supposed to be Steelers culture, right? Tradition. That's not the standard. So that has to change. For his sake, you can sit there at the end of the year and say, okay, we were one and done, or we didn't make the playoffs, and it's because of Matt Canada, and the owner didn't want to fire him and all that. But at the end of the day, it's your team, and you're going to be the one that is responsible. They're going to look at you and say, you didn't win a game in the playoff again. And, so, hopefully for him, he can turn it around. Hopefully for the Steelers and, the Steelers fan base, we start to look like a real legitimate team again on offense.
All I really have to say about the New England Patriots is there's some advantages to like working at night, because during the day you just get to read a lot of stuff.
All our text messages, I'm sure.
All the text messages, all the oh, the kids are having lunch, let me sneak in my phone. Oh, the kids are playing, let me sneak in the phone. This is the thing, is like Bill doesn't tank. And I know there's people out there going, oh, we should just start over. We should just get rid of players, assets. Let's get rid of them. Bill is not going to get rid of them. Stop saying that. He does the opposite of the fans want. Mm-hmm. And even if he does get rid of the assets, what do you have Caleb Williams play defense? You have Caleb Williams play special teams?
Well, the defense has been good though, right? So
listen, I went back because I was like, has he always been bad at offense? So I looked at the Cleveland. He was a head coach at Cleveland Brown. So his first year, 1991, and let's go back to like 1990. The Giants win the Super Bowl. He gets his first head coaching job. Cleveland Browns 6-10, not good. So we go to 92. Cleveland Browns 7-9, again not good. But then I was like, what about the offense? 91, they were ranked 16th. 92, they were ranked 20th. 93, again 7-9, they were ranked 15th, so middle of the pack. 94.
Who the hell's their quarterback?
Bernie Kosar. 94. They actually have 11-5. They have 11th in offenses. But the defense has always been good. They were number one defense. 95, 5-11. And then 96, there's some 96 because the Browns went to Baltimore. So they didn't have a team for like 5 years. So what I'm saying is like, he's never been an offensive guy. And the fact that, Tom Brady's not there anymore, what were you expecting? I feel like these people are like shocked that he can't, that he doesn't know what to do in the offense.
Well, what do you want, I guess, for the team? Like, what is the right thing to do with Bill Belichick? If you were the owner, if you're Kraft, what are you doing at the end of this year?
Listen, I know that there's so many different guilty parties here. Always bad offensive line. Oh, Mac Jones. Oh, player personnel. Or Bill Belichick. Listen, I laid all this down to the Kraft family. You made two very, very bad errors by letting Tom Brady go and then having Bill Belichick basically be your coach GM. Mm-hmm. Not so much during the Tom Brady years, but afterwards. You should have been like, listen, Tom Brady just won a Super Bowl. Let's take some son away. And now it's too late.
So what would you do now, though?
I would say, let's have a retired party for you. After this year,
you're gone?
You're gone.
See, I don't think that's, well, for one, I don't think that's going to happen.
Listen, he's 72 years old.
But here's what I would do. And this is, I think this is realistic. And I think this is something that, fans should want, right? Bill comes back next year. They're loyal to him. Let him try to go for his record. But to your point, you take over control and you got to set up life for life after Bill, right? Anyways.
And that's what I mean.
So bring in somebody that can be potentially your coach, the year after, right? So bring in an offensive minded person that knows how to work with quarterbacks, knows how to make plays, and have them work under Bill. Just say, hey, Bill, you're responsible for defense. You're the head coach. But this guy that I'm bringing in as your offensive coordinator, you don't have a say-so in what he does.
You're going to tell Bill Belichick?
Absolutely. You got to, like you said, you got to,
he'll storm out. You either cut him.
Bill's going to storm out?
If you said to
him. Storm out and do what?
You coach somewhere else.
You think he's going to go somewhere else? Yes. Who's going to hire him?
Listen, there's teams that...
You think someone's going to hire him knowing he just wants to get the record and that's it?
Knowing that the situation, that all they need is a good head coach. Case in point, the Chargers. You think Staley's a great head coach? Not by a long shot. Not by a long shot. I think with the right players, You put in Bill Belichick. You don't give him the keys from day one. You say, you can coach here, but you're not going to be the GM. You're not going to be the player personnel and all that stuff.
All I'm saying is, if I'm
Kraft and be like, listen, we're going to take, you can only drive the car during the day, not at night.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you're the coach. You get to make certain decisions. But here's what my plan is as the owner. I'm hiring this person. The goal for me is for him to establish an offense, develop a quarterback, and eventually replace you when you're gone next year. And be upfront and frank with him. Say that's what it's going to be. I think that's what's going on in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin and Matt. They're not looking to keep Matt Canada or anything or promote him. But I think it's the owner saying, we want Matt Canada to be here and play out his contract, and you're going to have to work with him regardless. I think that's the conversation that's happening behind the scenes. So I don't blame it all on Mike Tomlin. Tomlin has his hands tied a little bit, whereas Bill has like full control, and I think Kraft needs to tie his hands a little bit and say, this is what I'm doing. I'm looking out for the best interests of the team because I'm the owner, and this is what your succession plan is going to look like because this is what I'm forcing it to be.
Listen, my father-in-law is 77 years old. You can't even tell him where the drinks are. He gets mad. Mm-hmm. He gets upset. This guy, you're going to tell me that. You're going to sit him down and be like, Bill.
Coach upset.
You can't be the GM anymore. You can be a head coach, but you can't be the GM. You can't pick the players anymore. You certainly cannot draft anymore. I just don't see that. I'm not even necessarily saying take away GM responsibilities completely. I'm just saying don't have him have any control of choosing who the offensive coordinator is going to be. Like have him that, and maybe they're trying to do that now. They technically did that by bringing Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
I mean, that was Robert Kraft's idea.
Yeah.
If it was up to Bill Belichick, Bill O'Brien would not be there. But they brought him back. But I guess Bill O'Brien can't make a dinner out of this terrible group personnel. Yeah.
Right.
His ingredients. So yeah, I mean, mid-season it's not gonna happen. I feel like that's
nothing
not gonna happen.
Nothing happened.
Yeah. Then the situation will get really, really ugly.
Yeah. Well, you know what else gets ugly too? Sitting there in front of the microphones every week talking about why is your team 1-5, 1-6, 1-7, 1-8.
Well, that's what I mean. After this year, just cut him off. Just be like, listen, it's time to step down.
Yeah.
And I feel like he'll be a Patriot, Hall of Famer. He'll get his red jacket. He'll be in, they'll make a statue out of him. They'll do everything. But at 72, I mean, what's his name for the Steelers? Chuck Noll was 59 when he retired. This dude is 72. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. So, yeah. So, New England Patriot fans, listen, it's going to be like this for the rest of the year. Just deal with it. And then let's hope and pray.
Hey, Sirik's got you back. Sirik got him beating the Bills this week. So,
yes,
he's got their back.
Listen, every game is going to be a hopeful game, but after the year, we'll know where we land in the draft order, but let's just hope we're in the top 5. So on that note, I say peace.
Peace.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Any questions or comments, feel free to hit us up on shutyourmouthpodcast@gmail.com. That's shutympodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit us on Twitter or on Instagram @SYM Podcast. Thanks again.